And we tend to look at the Word of God as a promise book, a blessing book, and a lot of things, but it's actually revealing a war that we find ourselves in. And thank God that God has this thing planned from beginning to end. But I think what the enemy has tried to do that your book is much needed to kind of bring us back to a proper kingdom paradigm is that this war is still active and that we're active participants in it. And that's why we need to really devote ourselves to God, understanding Bible prophecy, understanding the kingdom, and really making sure that we're not, when I was in the military, one of the things that they really trained us on, especially when I was in Würzburg, Germany, because uh, communist Germany was just like 80 miles from where we were, making sure that somebody didn't turn you over to become an asset for the enemy. And we've lost all of that. I think in the kingdom we've lost this war mindset that there are only two kingdoms. There's no demilitarized zone, and God's got a plan that involves believers. It involves the completed work of Christ at the cross. It involves Israel. That's why Israel is such a paradox, I think, for the world because there is a cosmic war going on. That they're a vital piece of that puzzle.
Absolutely, absolutely. The the primary sort of literary backstory that I'm focusing on, of course, begins with Genesis 3:15. Where the Lord, as soon as the fall has taken place, the Lord speaks, I mean, immediately into the situation. And what's interesting is the declaration, which is really the foundational declaration, again, for this entire backstory, which permeates the entire biblical narrative. It's actually spoken to the serpent.
Mm.
The Lord actually is declaring to the serpent. He says, "I'm going to create conflict or enmity." In other words, from this point forward, history will be defined by a war. And then he says, between your seed line and her seed line, between you and the woman, that's the serpent and Eve. And then he says, between your seed line and her seed line. Of course, that's metaphorical. It's not, Satan didn't literally have physical children. And then out of each of these seed lines will come an ultimate seed. Out of the righteous line, of course, is Messiah. Out of the unrighteous line is the Antichrist.